What is going on, dog owners in the YouTube universe? Glad you're here. I'm Ty, the dog guy. This is Chocolate Chip. This is part of our 10-part free video training series that you are watching. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might not have seen the other parts, so make sure you go down below in the comments no, not the comments. In the description section. In the description section, you're gonna find a link and you can get this free 10-part video training course that we're giving away. That's gonna share with you deep dive into leash pulling, coming when called, working through aggression, behavior problems, all sorts of issues and stuff like that. So make sure that you're grabbing that if you haven't already done that. But thanks for being on this video today, because we're gonna be talking about electric collars. Dun, 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 dun. And a lot of people who are unfamiliar with dog training get a little bit scared when they hear this, because they think like the dreaded shock collar. The technology has changed so much, guys. It is so different these days. These electric collars of today are nothing like your father's shock collars of 20, 30 years ago. They're not painful. They're totally humane. They're nothing more than, at this point, a communication tool, but a communication tool that can get us to off-leash levels so much faster, so much easier on you, and so much easier on the dog. And so in today's video, I'm going to teach you the humane way that we use, or that we teach, in order to get a dog to come when called and focus. And a lot of you are dealing with focus problems, because we deal with this at our company all the time. I'm talking about dogs with aggression issues need to learn how to focus. Dogs with reactivity issues. Dogs who don't come when called. Dogs who want to chase every squirrel that they see. Those are dogs suffering from focus problems. That's exactly what you're going to learn today. So take some notes and then go apply this with your dog. All right, guys, in a second here, I'm going to show you how to use an e-collar to teach the dog to come when called in a very humane way. But before I do that, I want to explain why you want to do this. Now, a lot of people would hear that and be like, well, I know why I want my dog to come when called, because he doesn't come when called. But even dogs that kind of come when called, or are good at coming when called, this is a great exercise to teach them, because teaching a dog to focus, to pay attention, is something that most dogs lack, at least on some levels. Maybe they're okay at focus, but then a distraction comes and the focus is gone, or maybe they have no focus, or somewhere in between. Focus is at the core of almost all problems that we work with. Excuse me. It's at the focus of a lot of the aggression that we work with. The dog gets so focused on something that makes him nervous that he starts getting aggressive. It's at the core of a lot of the off-leash manners that we work with, like the dog gets so focused on the squirrel or the dog and he chases them and he doesn't focus on the owner saying, come, come, come. And so focus is at the core of so many of the issues. Focus is at the core of dogs who pull on the leash. It's at the core of dogs who are really bad when the doorbell rings and all they're doing is focused on the door. So teaching your dog to focus on you in spite of heavy distraction is something that's huge, and it's going to help you with just about anything from aggression to running off to all sorts of issues and stuff like that. At its core, there's always three things you need to look at if you want to solve any problem, or solve a problem, but also understand why a problem's happening. So anything that your dog's doing wrong, there's only three reasons. You've got a focus problem, a communication problem, or a relationship problem. So going backwards, a relationship problem is where the dog says, I know what you want me to do, but I'm not going to listen to you. That's actually pretty rare. A lot of people say, oh, my dog is dominant, or oh, my dog, he doesn't, he's very stubborn. That's actually quite rare. Most dogs, even like the big tough, or the little, barky dogs, there's very few of them that are really like overly dominant or really like stubborn. Most of the time, it's a dog that just doesn't understand what you want, or somebody who hasn't really reinforced the things that they want the dog to do. So, but sometimes that is the case. Sometimes you've got a dog who says, nope, I'm not doing something because I don't care about what you have to say. That's a relationship issue. Now, the second one I mentioned is a communication issue. A communication issue is, the owner's telling the dog to come, and the dog doesn't come, and then I ask the owner, like, what did you do to teach the dog to come? And they're like, well, I said come. And every now and then I gave him a treat. You really haven't communicated the concept. So oftentimes when our dogs are being disobedient, it's not disobedience, it's just that it wasn't communicated. Now the first one, like I say, is focus. So lots of dogs have no focus. They focus everywhere else. They focus on this, that, and the other instead of the owner. And this often happens from a young age, because a lot of people think that socialization is just exposing their dogs to things. So they say, I've got a dog, let me let him play with dogs, let me let him play with kids, let me let him go here, there, and everywhere. And so they just expose them to stuff, and the dog starts realizing everything in the world is far more interesting than you, Mr. Owner or Mrs. Owner. And so oftentimes people accidentally teach their dogs not to focus by trying to introduce them to everything. So if that's where you are, that's what we're going to work on fixing today. Is I'm going to teach you how to, in a very humane way, to use an e-collar to teach your dog to focus and to come when called. So give me a second, I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. All right, guys, just want to do a quick cutaway to talk about making sure that you're taking notes and doing this in the right way, the right process. The electric collar, like I say, these are no longer shock collars. They've changed the technology on these things, well, with the good ones at least. The collars that you find on Amazon that are $40 to $100, those are old school shock collars. Do not use those. Do not use those for anything. If you're like, well, it has vibration, don't use it for anything. They are not good collars. Make sure that you're getting a good one. But anyways, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, what I'm referring to is not shock collar training at all. E-collar training is still very misunderstood, and people don't get it as much as they should, because there's a lot of stigma, like, oh, it sounds like a shock collar, sounds like it's going to hurt the dog. It's not about pain for your dog. Your dog will not experience pain if you're doing this right. Your dog will experience like an itchy, weird sensation, but it doesn't. You don't need to be using pain to get things through to your dog. So make sure that you're using this the right way. Be a responsible person with this tool. That lots of places around the world, they're banning them or trying to ban them, mostly because people are ignoring the science behind how this tool actually works. So let's use the collar in a good way so that we don't contribute to any sort of bans or anything like that. All right, guys, so we're going to work on teaching him how to come using the e-collar. Now, the way I like to explain this to people, this e-collar, it's a language. Right now it has no meaning. So this dog is brand new to training, so this has no meaning. It's just this little tickle. That's the cool thing about e-collars of today, is the technology with them. Now, if you get one of the cheaper ones on Amazon, 40, 80 bucks, 100 bucks, the technology is so different, you would never want to use those for training your dog. But these usually retail around 200. And the technology is such that we can use these tiny little levels, and we can use it as a teaching tool and a communication tool rather than this big old punishment tool. And so what I'm going to do, so getting back to that, this being a language, if I start hitting buttons, he's not going to know he's supposed to come when called. And this is one of the big mistakes that people make with their dog, is they let their dog off the leash. They say, come Fido. And Fido's like, nah. And so they hit the button and Fido's like, what is that? And he's still not coming. And so the owner's like upping the level and he's still not coming, and maybe he's even running the opposite direction. So I meet a lot of people and they're like, oh, that collar, we tried it, it didn't work with our dog. The collar works fine, it's just that they were using it wrong. This is a language. If I start hitting buttons and I don't teach the dog what I want, he's gonna have no clue. So in a nutshell, here's what we're gonna do, and then I'm gonna show you. So I'm gonna tell him to come. I always give one free command. So free means no treat, no correction, no anything. I'm just gonna say, here, here's the word that I use. If he comes, great. If he doesn't come, on the second one, I'm gonna hold it down. So it's just this weird little tickle that he's gonna be like, what's that? And as I do, I'm gonna pull on the leash and go backwards. And as he starts to come, I'll release the button. Praise, good boy, he gets to me, I'll give him some treats. And I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna tell him come. If he doesn't come, I hold it down, pull, go backwards, he comes, I release. Hold it down, pull, go backwards, he comes, I release. Over and over and over. And with enough repetition, he starts to realize, oh, that's weird, every time I come, that little tickle shuts off. Which right now isn't too meaningful because I've got the leash on, I'm kind of making him come. But with a little bit of practice, we get to the point to where now he's like, we take him off the leash, a couple weeks from now, and he's like, I don't have to come anymore, the leash isn't on. And at that point, I can use a little bit of stimulation, still a very light level, and he's like, oh, okay, I've shut this off 100 times, I know what to do now. And so essentially, that's how we can get a dog to come when called with a very low level. It's very humane. It's nothing more than, just simply pulling on a leash. So I'm gonna let him get away from me here. Here. He's kind of coming anyway, so I am gonna give him a treat for that. Good boy. Good boy. I'm gonna let him get nice and distracted. So if he comes on the first one, there is no need for a correction. Let me get you untangled here, buddy. Let me get you untangled. Oh, yeah. Okay. We're working with a long line is a bit of an art form. Here, here, oh, good boy. So he wasn't quite coming, so on that second one, I held it down for a quick second until he started to come. Okay, go get this. Well, I know what I'm gonna do. Here. Oh, good boy. So he's starting to realize that that here means that there's a treat there. I'm gonna make it hard for him. I'm gonna throw some treats on the ground and call him away from that. Here. Oh, good boy. Good boy, aren't you a smart one? Okay, what's that? What's that? Go sniff something. It's on the ground. It's on the ground. It's right there. I'm gonna see if I can get him a little bit more distracted. So this is one of the big challenges with doing this. Usually, especially if you're using food, the dog realizes pretty quick, like, oh, it's worth it to come. See, buddy. Right on the ground. Right there. You're not good at this, are you? It's on the ground. I keep thinking. You're standing right on top of it. Here, here. Oh, good boy. So for your benefit there, I held it down. Sorry, I held my hand up while I was holding down the button. And the second he started to come is when I released the button. Let me see if he'll get distracted over here in the trees. Here, here. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Here we go. So I'm on a really low level with him, and you can tell it's not a painful level at all. Here. Good boy. Good boy. I didn't have a treat that time, so he just gets some praise. This is not about pain at all. This is actually a very humane way to train, because you can tell he feels just a weird little thing. He comes, he gets a treat, and he's like, you know what? That was a pretty good deal. With enough repetition, we'll be able to take him off leash. This is actually, he's learning pretty quick. Like this is his first session with this. He just came in for training, but you're already getting it down pretty quick, buddy. Let me try if I can get, let me see if I can get one more. Here. Oh, buddy. So I didn't even have to use the stimulation there. Well, hopefully that makes sense what you need to do. So what you need to do in a situation like this is, for us to really move forward on his training, we're gonna have to go find dogs behind fences. We're gonna have to find kids playing. We're gonna have to find like bigger distractions. We give him the free command. If he comes, great. If not, we hold it down, pull, go backwards. He comes, we release. Enough repetition, and soon you're gonna have a dog that can have a really nice off-leash recall. So, time to get it done with your dog. All right, dog owners, to finish up here, hopefully you're seeing how you can use the e-collar as a humane tool, as an effective tool. This is not some big sap or, you know, this shock collar that a lot of people think this is. This is an entirely different type of training that we're talking about in this modern age, with how the technology has advanced with these e-collars. So hopefully you've seen how you can not only get your dog to come when called, but gain a lot of focus in all sorts of different areas of your dog's life. So if you haven't already, go down below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description, because you'll be able to get a free 10-day course on training just about anything with your dog. So go down below, click that link, and can't wait to see you on the other training.